right, so I goofed. I filmed a bunch of reels without my microphone, and hopefully those first three that I filmed come out okay. This next question: are cryptids extraterrestrials, and are some of them from our collective consciousness, created from our collective consciousness? This is a great question, actually. I don't know if I'll be able to answer it fully. I mean, I can answer it, yes. Done, answered, complete. But there's more to it because I expand on these with my experiences. Um, Cryptids are extraterrestrials, but we have to define extraterrestrial. So, part of the problem we have right now is we label everything. Everything gets labeled. When I say extraterrestrial moving forward, what I mean is extra of Earth, extraterrestrial, extra to Earth, meaning not in the typical human experience. So, not an animal, not a plant, not an insect. Extraterrestrial, meaning something outside of the typical realm. Yes, many of them are extraterrestrial. Cryptids, for the most part, the cryptids that people know about are extra dimensional extraterrestrial beings. Faeries, technically extraterrestrial. Sasquatch, both extraterrestrial, and the other label, galactic. I used to only say extraterrestrial or interdimensional, those types of things. Because of the community that's waking up, and as they're waking up, we're shifting our labels and trying to describe them. But remember, everything is the same, everything is one. It doesn't matter if it comes from space, if it comes from inside the earth, or anything. But some of those beings are galactic in nature, meaning of outside of Earth, from another planet, galaxy, solar system, etc. The extraterrestrials, a lot of them are other dimensional beings, beings from other dimensions. Sasquatch, Bigfoot, being from another dimension. They exist with our dimension. They exist in another space too, in another vibration, another reality, so to speak. Mothman is a great one. We don't talk about Mothman a lot. Galactic. Uh, I had a galactic come to me claiming to be the Mothman, or at least from their words, some of the experiences that people claim were Mothmen. And beautiful being, ugly, like like when, and I don't mean this from a judgmental space. I'm trying to describe them like they were a very ugly, ogreish type of race, in a sense. Like some of the beings that I saw that they had, and I experienced them very early in my journey. They showed me several things, several encounters people had had, and that they were trying to warn people of disasters and this and that. But what it was is they had come down to Earth. They had suits. They had technological suits that had wings and red eyes. But the red eyes were like goggles so they can see in our world, because the world they came from was a world where it was very red spectrum light. And so they couldn't see well on our plane. They needed more red spectrum light, whatever that means. I don't know the scientific side of it. But so when people looked at their eyes, they saw all this red light type of thing, big moth like wings, but it was all technology. It was like an Iron Man suit, basically. It was awesome. Like they showed it to me, and I consciously entangled with them to ride as they used this thing. And I'm like, it's a spacesuit too. Like it was phenomenal. But they were a society of bipedal humanoid beings who created this, go from place to place, and they knew new disasters were coming. We're trying to warn people, this and that. Got confused with this moth being, and again, this is some of the beings are galactic that are associated with this. And I'll go back to Sasquatch. Sasquatch is a being who has been very clear, and I have experienced other beings that are not Sasquatch that would easily be confused for them. They're very clear. How do you know we are Sasquatch if you cannot talk to us? If you are running from us, if you are afraid of us, how do you know that it's Sasquatch that's responsible? So many people blame Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti, Yowly, whatever names you want to use. They blame them for certain experiences, not realizing there are hundreds, thousands, millions of beings out there, different dimensions, galactics, inner earth beings, all these spaces. A lot of them look similar. A lot of them have similar likenesses that can be easily confused. And the way I describe it is, if you have a raccoon, a skunk, and a badger, I think those are raccoon, yeah, raccoon, skunk, and a badger, all black, white types of creatures, stripes, masks, all that, right? Somebody goes into the woods. Nobody's ever seen them. Now imagine never seeing one. Somebody goes into the woods and sees a raccoon and comes out and goes, "Oh my God, I saw this thing. It was like climbing trees and it had a mask around its eyes and it was white and black and furry and all that." Another person goes out and sees a skunk and then gets sprayed by the skunk and comes back and, "Oh my God, I saw it too. It lifted its tail, it sprayed me." Another person goes out and sees a badger and gets attacked by the badger and is like, "Oh my God, it attacked me. It was vicious. It was mean." The raccoon's harmless. The skunk is actually harmless. Most people don't realize that. They're very harmless beings. You can walk right up to them if you're not going to threaten them. Don't do that. I'm not recommending that. I've done it, but don't do that. But they're very harmless and docile. The badger, on the other hand, can be very vicious. How do you know what you're experiencing if you do not have a way to communicate and ask it, "What are you?" If you don't have a way to know and see and experience these beings in a wide variety. So with the Mothman and Sasquatch, the Mothman is an example of a galactic coming to help people in a basically an Iron Man suit that looks like a moth. It doesn't actually really look like a moth, to be true, to be honest, but I can see how people confuse it for that. And then you have these stories, Mothman stories. Some of them are probably the galactic, some of them are probably some extraterrestrial, and moth beings do exist. So some of them are probably actually moth beings. All confused because people don't have the capacity to understand that there are so many beings out there and that it cannot, like, they all want to pigeonhole things and go, "Oh, it's all Sasquatch. Oh, it's all this, it's all that." No, it could be all kinds of different things. If you open your mind and sit back and say observationally, "Tell me more about it. What happened? Were you able to talk to it? What did it look like? Let's get more information to figure out, is this the same being?" Sasquatch is a big one. You know, people have all these encounters with Sasquatch, and personally, I think 50% of them, if not more, aren't Sasquatch. Especially the ones where they're like talking about missing people and, you know, these very violent things. Those have been very clear. I've been told they're not Sasquatch, even though people want to blame them. Like occasionally there's an encounter that does have violence attached to it because a human does something really stupid. But for the most part, they're other beings. Trolls exist, giants exist, inner earth beings exist. The one that people forget about, humans. Humans do things and then make stories about it to make it seem like there was something else going on. The Wendigo is a perfect example. Wendigos do exist, by the way. That's a real thing. But humans back in the day also would do things, they would resort to eating family members and things because of starvation and then blame it on these other beings, these other stories. That's like a historical paranormal type of thing. The humans were the problem. So when we look at cryptids, we have to understand they can be many things. But what's the truth? How do we know the truth? And I'll always come back to this. Never trust the mythology. Only trust your experience and those that come from love. That's it. If it's coming from horror and fear, throw it out the window. Trust your experience and those who are telling their story, their own stories. Own stories is the key, with love. Love you all.